Welcome, dear viewers. Today we have a session on critical and cultural theories and media society theories. In this session, we will be discussing critical and cultural theories, which will be about Marxist theories, the critical theories, the cultural theories, and the political economy theory. The next session of this would be comprising of the media society theories, which would include the technological determinism, media and public sphere, audience theories, and feminist media theories. So let us begin with understanding what mass communication theory is. According to Stanley J. Barron, mass communication theories are the explanations, and these are the predictions of social processes that draw a relationship between the media messages, the personal and social cultural systems in a society. So we all know that there are various kind of systems in a society, and media is a subsystem of all of it. So when Barron talks about explanations or predictions, it is actually these explanations which are trying to evaluate, ascertain, and explain the interrelationships between media messages and the society, polity, and economy of a place. Then, if we simply want to put it, these are the theories which help you understand the media messages in your social and cultural context, in your personal context, such that you are not confused and they enable you to make a right choice. Which brings me to the point, why should we study theories? Now, we all know that media messages are bombarded on the audiences right from the beginning of the day. The time you get up, to the time you look at your various messengers and messaging apps, to the time you look at the newspaper of the day, the television news, the billboards and hoardings that you come across when you're traveling from your home to your office or workplace, and the radio announcements that you hear during your travel, all of it together results into an overload of information that is coming from different kind of media on the human mind. So how do you know what to believe, whether to believe or not to believe? These are the choices that we need to make. And of course, it doesn't remain to be said that media dictates our choices. They influence us within our personal realm, between our social and cultural systems. Precisely the reason why we need to study theories, because they will give us a precise idea whether to believe a message or not to believe a message, and also how does media behave, how does media respond to certain situations now that we know that it is a part of our major systems of the society. So it is important to understand media theories. If we want to understand media in totality, you have to look at the way media operates, the generalizations that are made in various social systems on how media is operating. Having said that, let us proceed to the next stage of this, which is the Marxist theories. Now, when we talk about the Marxist theories, of course, those of you who have read it previously or have discussed this previously would know that these theories largely had everything to do with the economics of a place, the economics of a society. So basically, they talk about two concepts, the bourgeois and the proletariat. Now, the bourgeois are the media owners. These are the people who control the infrastructure. Let us say they are the industrialists. And in our case, they are the media controllers, the dominant ruling elites, as well as the ruling elites. And these are the people who have a say in what kind of content the media is proposing. Proletariat, on the other hand, are the workers. They could be the factory workers who are working for their daily wages, and these can also be the audiences in terms of the media context. So when we talk from media point of view, these are the audiences who are consuming the content that media factories are producing. So this is the basic idea of bourgeois and the proletariat. So while we are bifurcating this into media owners and media audiences, we need to understand that media messages form a common culture. And these messages, the way they emanate and the basic idea behind designing these messages in a particular way and assuming that it will have a certain kind of effect on the audiences is what we need to understand. Now, Stuart Hall was another social scientist of great repute who talked about media and how it appears to reflect the reality while they're actually constructing it. So, like I have often said in my lectures, that reality is not what is real. Reality is what is perceived. And what helps us perceive that reality? It is the media. So, media appears to be reflecting a reality, but actually it is a media constructed reality that comes in front of us that we end up believing. So, their production of this media content is the process of cultural production, which includes encoding as well as decoding. So, Stuart Hall stressed on the process of encoding and decoding as a process of cultural production. So, when we talk about cultural production, we need to basically understand what culture is. Culture is the cumulative sum of experiences of a society. When we say that our culture or Indian culture is different from the Western culture or the European culture or the African culture, what do we exactly mean? We mean that the experiences which are a resultant of communication that we are creating together, a shared reality that we are creating together, is what is becoming our culture. So, Stuart Hall spoke about encoding and decoding of media messages in this shared reality, which we are calling culture or cultural production. Now, values and assumptions are inscribed in texts and translated from them. This is something that we very well understand, that there are certain kind of values in terms of morals, values in terms of what should and should not be done in certain social contexts. So there are also certain assumptions that we take from those values, and these are inscribed in text, and there are various translations of them that are available with us. And media is a field of ideological struggle, because not everybody goes out to read those values and whatever is given in those translated versions or texts that are available. So people build up their own perceptions. While they are building up this perception, media, which is ideally constructing this reality and also reflecting this reality to the audience, is actually creating an ideological struggle. This ideological struggle is something that is seen between the proletariat and the bourgeois. So the controllers of media and the way they believe, the kind of notions and ideations they have, which they are able to present because they are the dominant ones, as compared to those who are in majority but their voices are not heard. So this is the kind of ideological struggle that plays around media and media content all the time. Now, Stuart Hall spoke of three kinds of readings. Readings of what? Readings of media text. When we say media text, it is not just words in black and white. It also includes the audio visuals, it also includes pictures, it also includes maybe a documentary. Everything that comes to you, the content of media, is the text. So, Stuart Hall spoke about three kinds of readings of this media content, or what we call text. One is the dominant reading. Now, the dominant reading is the kind of reading which essentially audiences believe. So, there will be a certain kind of, a certain section of things that everybody would want for the society. Like, say, for example, everybody wants good education, everybody wants roads, everybody wants health services. So, be it the government or the non-ruling people or the common people, nobody is going to say no to those basic things. So this is the dominant reading, things with which are promulgated in the media and with which the audiences tend to agree. Now, having said that, the other kind of reading is oppositional reading, whereby one does not, as an audience, does not understand or does not relate to the text of the media or whatever the media is talking about. So they have their own, interpretations of reality. They might not agree with what is being told through the media content, through news or through other kind of content that is prevalent in the media. That is oppositional reading, as it emerges from this word opposite, oppositional reading. The third kind of reading is negotiated reading. Now, this is when audiences confront a kind of reality where they do not completely believe it to be true, but they would accept certain sections of it, certain part of it, while they will continue to disagree with the rest of the text of the media. So this is called negotiated reading. And since media has a lot of ideological struggle imbibed in it, so these three kinds of readings keep happening on and off. So, with every new day, when you see a different kind of news, you would see a large number of people agreeing with certain things and disagreeing with certain things, which is what leads to this ideological struggle. So, these are the three categories that Stuart Hall came up with when he was describing the relation of audiences to the kind of media content that is available in the public sphere. Then, having spoken of the Marxist theories, the next thing we are going to talk about is the critical theories. Now, Marxist theories gave rise to critical theories. What are these critical theories? These are the theories that attempt to critique and change the society rather than just understanding and exploring it. One thing is, as a media student, you try and understand what are the various media theories that are available with us to develop a better understanding of the working of media. The other thing is that you question. Once you have understood, you start questioning why this, why not that. So when we're doing this, the attempt that we are taking at critiquing the way things are and the kind of role media is playing in it, or whether media is the harbinger of some change, or media can be an agent of social change, those kind of things, when we are questioning and when we are critiquing the role and action of media in a society, that is what we call critical theories. The critical theories, they basically, what they aim at doing is that they discuss the source, analyze the text of media and of the intended meaning. So is it that the meaning, the exact thing that happened was something else, but the way it has been formulated into a reality by media is something else? As compared to this, what audiences understand can be slightly different from what maybe media intended it to be. So this is what we are looking at when we talk about effective and ineffective communication, which I talked about in my previous lectures. So if communication has to be effective, what is being told by the source should be exactly what is being understood by the receiver. And here, when we're talking of critiquing the media text, and we are looking at it more critically, we are talking about what was the source of the message. We are trying to analyze the text and maybe disagreeing or agreeing with what the resultant is. So the intended meaning of this text and how it has been portrayed in media for the society is what draws all the critique to the media. So this is our critical theory. Now, this has implications of representation as well as misrepresentation and how they justify the ideology which has been propagated. Now, while media is representing a certain kind of reality, maybe in another in another manner, say A. So this reality A, which has been created by media, is actually a slight misrepresentation of the real thing that has happened. So how does media justify the ideology that it has created, or how does media propagate this kind of ideology such that a large percentage of population starts believing it to be true? Is also the critical theory, and this theory also works on that aspect of media. Then there were Antonio Gramsci, who spoke about hegemony. Now, hegemony, the basic term, as we all understand, is the controllers of resources, the controllers of media, and how they behave, how they act when they want a certain kind of ideology to be propagated. And obviously, the ideology would be of the dominant ruling elites and the ruling elites in any media system. So, Gramsci spoke about hegemony for the first time. So, all of it is interconnected because the way controllers of media will rule the media content or dictate the media content, and the way it will be grasped by the audiences, which is the general public in this case. How do they affect or impact the society at large is a part of the critique, and hence the critical theories. And then there is, of course, because it leads to the dominance of a certain social class over the other social classes, which is what, again, is a part of analysis of the critical theories. Having said this, we now talk about the cultural theories. We first talked about the Marxist theories, then we talked about the critical theories, and now we're going to talk about the cultural theories. Culture, as I already said, is an amalgamation of experiences of a society and the individuals of the society. So, media production is also the process of culture production. Why? Because media is trying to reflect, after certain amendments, the reality which is portrayed in the society. So, whatever is happening is what is being reflected through media to us. So, this is also a large part of culture production, through which certain values are thrust upon the society, certain values you take it to be better than the rest, and the values slowly keep changing also. So, media production, hence, is also a part of cultural production. And culture, like I just said, it is dynamic, it is not fixed. Why? Because these values, social values, keep changing. I will give you a very simple example. In the days of yore, people thought that women education is not a great idea, and women should be confined to home and hearth and look after the familial responsibilities. And that idea has, over a period of time, changed. And this is why this is a part of our culture. Today, in the Indian context, we all understand that women must, women must be educated and they must be a part of the decision-making process at home as well as in office situations and everywhere else. So they play a part in nation building. This is the change that has come up, and hence culture. And this is what our culture is, the existing culture. And this is why we say that culture is dynamic. It keeps changing. It is not fixed. It is not static. Then it makes meaning of media text in the light of its cultural context. We're talking of media. We're talking of the text that media is speaking about, the kind of pictures that they are giving us, the kind of things that are being promulgated from media to the audiences, and they are slowly coming down to us. Now, while we are trying to create a certain meaning of the text that media is providing to us, we need to understand that this is all in the light of cultural context, which is to say that media cannot really create a revolution, because media itself is a subsistent of three dominant systems of the society. As a result of this, whatever meaning we are making of media text will be in the light of or will be inspired by the culture of the existing societies. Then it also tries to analyze culture's formulation and how it is positioned in the society. Different kind of cultures have different kind of positionings, and the various values, the way these values in society are formulated and then presented to the masses to follow and live by is also a part of cultural study. It evaluates social practices also, and it looks at political motives also. Why? Because we are talking culture, and culture is one of the dominant systems other than the polity and the society. So it is also, since it is working at the behest of the polity and society, it is also evaluating those social practices, and it is looking at the political motives as well. And this sees the consumption of culture as an active process. Why? Because culture is, like we said, culture is created. Number two, culture is dynamic, it keeps changing. So it is important to understand the consumption of this culture from the point of view of a communication expert. And this is an active process that goes on in the society, but it is so subtle that most of the times people do not realize this is happening. So while you're driving from home to work and you're listening to the radio, even subconsciously that media message is going into your mind and it is getting registered subconsciously. So also look at the let us look at the more broad example of, say, for example, OTT platforms. The silver screen is slowly ending in India, and we have more of content coming on OTT platforms. So we see the consumption of culture from the eyes of OTT, which as a platform is different from the rest. Why? Because it is more of a private platform. It allows you more, explicit language, and it is also a platform which allows you to see greater amount of freedom from the filmmaker's point of view. So this is a different kind of culture which has come to us as compared to the silver screen, where the reality had to be more socially acceptable, because we know that this is being watched by a lot of other people, as compared to the OTT platform, which is more of a reality which is being viewed privately. So cultural consumption changes even within the media. And here we're talking films, so we are talking OTT as well as silver screen. Both of them are more or less a platform of depicting films. So even within one media, if this is the kind of difference in the culture that gets created around it and the way it is consumed, indicates how important and subtle this process is. Next, we will be looking at political economy theory. It talks about the social relationships and power relationships. Now, where is this power relationship existing? Like when I began with the Marxist theories, I had said that there is a bourgeois and there are proletariats. So people who are dominant in a society, they are the controllers of media, they are the owners of media, their ideologies is what is getting propagated through the media. As compared to the proletariat, who are the working class, who would like to fend for themselves, and who are the people who are in the media context, they are the common people, the audiences of the media. So there is a certain kind of social relationship and a power relationship that exists between the media systems, the producers of the content, distributors of the content, and the consumers of the content. So mass media system in itself, so say for example, when I give you an example of mass media system, social media is way too different from the normal media that we talk about, the mainstream media that we talk about. So mass media system in itself, which is promulgating a certain kind of reality, which is coming up with newer facts and opinions on a daily basis, which affect the commoners, the proletariat, are so different in context. So social media, we all know it is, while it is technology mediated, it is more of a personal platform, but at the same time, it is talking to millions of people. On the other hand, a mass medium is something which we do not know who are these faceless audiences who we are talking to. So for obvious reasons, there will be certain kind of social relationships and there will be certain kind of power relations that will exist within this kind of a mass media system. Another is the producers of content, which I've just explained. And then, of course, the distributors are also an important part of this, because a certain kind of media content, a film that is produced for the OTT platform, until and unless, it is distributed over to different OTT platforms, you will never get to see what kind of content was, given to us through the filmmaker. So distributors are also an important aspect of this relationship. And hence this relationship and power relation exists between these four people or these four aspects. Now, political economy theory also studies the role of state and technological developments. So while we're talking of the state and technological development, we need to understand how politics affects the economics. And political economy theory largely talks about that. It looks at the mass media and the kind of, money that goes into the making of media. And of course, the way it is governed by the politics of a society or a country. So this is a power relationship between money and politics, to be simply put. And the focus areas, hence, since we are talking of polity and we're talking of economy, of media, obviously the focus areas in this kind of theory would be media ownership, who is owning and controlling the media. It is also looking at the peripheral processes. What are the other sorts of, let us say, repercussions that media may face if it presents a story in a certain manner and not in the manner that a dominant ruling elite may feel it should be presented. And then, of course, the governmental policies, because these are the various pressures that any media organization gets to face. So this is directly connected to the politics as well as economics. Having said that, I hope that you have understood what these four kinds of theories are and how pertinent, how important an understanding of theories is for you as media audiences as well as communication students. It is so important to develop this understanding if you do not want to be fooled by the kind of media content that is prevalent all around us. Hope you stand benefited from this session. Thank you all very much for joining in, and do tune in for the next video. Thank you.